to the depth perception again. Welcome back, everyone. You got Optoturban here. Who else we got here?
I'm Dr. Nadia.
I am
Doug over there in his own world.
You got two more people who
Doug,
are.
what's up, y'all?
There you go.
OD Fresh, OD_Fresh06.
Future Dr. Nunez, who is currently sick.
All right. we have a fourth person here who maybe you heard her. She's a little under the weather. She traveled hard and really did the conference well, the transitions conference. So we thought we'd do a pod and recap about it. She's gonna do her best, and we'll kind of fill in the gaps.
In Pitch Perfect, they have that girl that's like, and like nobody knows what she's saying. That's like literally Svet right now.
That's Svet.
You could just say I am Groot, and then we could act like we know you're saying I am Groot.
Well, I'll translate for you.
Well,
or talk like the Despicable Me people, the minions.
You're gonna have to have a whiteboard. You need to bring out a whiteboard so you can just
banana.
You can just write your answers on there for us, So
we'll
just read it for the pod.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Oh, perfect. We got it.
Well, as you can tell, we got our chemistry down. We all saw each other and spent some good time at transitions, and we just want to talk about some things maybe that we learned or we'll thought that was great about the conference. Do you have a favorite part, Nadia?
I do. I mean, I think we kind of like recapped a little by ourselves because we've been, trying to communicate. We love communicating in this pod. It's one of my favorite things about our pod. We'll talk about that in a later episode, I think. But getting to talk to Harbir, right? That was my favorite part of the conference. Like, it was like not even part of the conference, but I think that we all know that this kind of conference for us is like mentorship and learning from each other. And, there's that added benefit of like learning about transitions. And I think if it's your first conference, like you learn a lot from the transition side of things. But, for us, it's like second, third, fourth conference now. And so this is about like learning about the business side of things, but also like connecting with other people and learning from each other. So we had a good talk about like ourselves and how our podcast is going to go. And because, Harbir is one of the people on top of his game right now. And I think that was my favorite part, kind of just like the chill at the end, kind of like reaching out. He has so much to tell us and educate us about, and we're like ready little sponges to learn. So I enjoyed that part.
That's a good person to mention. For those of you who don't know, Harbir Sayan, he has a podcast, 2020 podcast. I think Svetlana has her answer ready. She says, my favorite part, volunteering at one site. Additionally, mentorship conversation with Harbir. And then, of course, seeing us for and old friends and new friends. So that's a great recap there. She did a volunteer clinic, which they hold before the Transitions Conference. And so I think she enjoys the giving back part about it. And then, Svet's in school and be able to learn how to kind of go forward, especially with these non-clinical project that she's working on. I think it was helpful for her to have that conversation. And then
83 patients and
83 patients, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Thumbs
Amazing.
up.
One day. So many.
83 thumbs up.
Who could be impacted.
How about you, Deg?
My favorite part, outside of seeing your lovely faces, was kind of like everyone mentioned. Not only was it networking, I think it changes from networking to like building relationships and friendships and lasting friendships. So re-seeing people that we met last year, the year before, and then having deeper conversations with them and actually getting to know them. I think Transitions is cool. It's a different academy than the other ones because it's a little more intimate. And so you're able to have real conversations and deeper convos that you wouldn't when, like, if you're just on social media or passing by. So talking with Harbir, talking with Dr. Ashes Johnson and Dr. Cleaver, a few to mention, but yeah, having those conversations were great and really supportive and inspiring and just makes you want to do more and be ready to give back and just level up.
JD, your favorite part?
It would have to be the guest speakers. The favorite one that I think a lot of us resonated with was the Hello Fears conversation. Essentially, the premise of this guest speaker was to say, hey, get out of your comfort zone in order to accomplish growth and change. And so with having that mentality in mind, starting to think of ideas, how to get uncomfortable to become happier, in personal life, one thing that really sounded attractive always was to maybe do a stand-up comedy show, but always was too uncomfortable to address that. So I'm looking into starting and maybe getting an improv show first. Career-wise, like I love that idea of maybe doing 100 days of something career related for an hour a day. So I think that might be my challenge to myself that I'd like to start. And I think that was great to have a great speaker to show examples of how to be uncomfortable to achieve growth.
I love that. I'll be front row. I can't wait. I'm gonna laugh at all of the jokes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might have to come with you to the improv show, kind of improv sketch thing.
We're all down.
I love
You
that
can
stuff too.
practice on here. Maybe we'll do a pod and you'll just practice your material.
Ooh, optometry jokes. I like it. Or optometry roast.
Yeah, that would be
You
so
know-
fun.
You know what I thought
What
of,
if we
but
have
I
like a
didn't want
guest
to take.
and we roast them?
I we could do that. That
I don't know. That might be a little uncomfortable if
Yeah,
they, don't,
yeah.
they don't know us
but
like that.
uncomfortable is good for growth. But maybe we should
Yeah.
It is.
we shouldn't push that on anybody
Ooh.
else. Maybe it should be
Let's
on
do that
ourselves.
with Libna.
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 Yeah, that's fine. She'll love that.
I like the concept though. I mean, there's plenty of patients we can make fun of. Patient stories. There's a lot to go off on here, so we'll definitely get to it. Look out for a
You know what I
stand-up
thought of?
comedy.
You know what I
Tell
thought
us.
of in our last
Okay.
pod with Angelica is, you know, when you mentioned good cop, bad cop, we should have acted out being the good cop, bad cop with her and see how she answered the questions. That would've been fun.
It's never too
It's
late
fine. We don't want to put her on the spot
Next time.
next time.
when she's back next time, for sure. That's not a bad idea, man.
Yeah.
So JD, was this what Transitions Academy was this for you?
This was my second, I think, as well as Sweats.
Okay. Compared
second as well.
to your first academy, what was different? Did you feel like your first time going was different than like the second time now?
Yeah, the parallel I'd give is to college. Like, you know, when you're a freshman, everything's so new, bright lights. You walk into the cafeteria and you're like, whoa, there's food on the tray. And I feel like that parallel of college to me was similar, where the novelty aspect, like, wow, everything was so new, and be able to have these conversations and go to these meetings. There was definitely a pro of being more comfortable in skin and being able to kind of deeper these friendships and connections that we've had. So I appreciate being able to walk up to people and say, hey, we saw you last year, and just kind of engage more and continue the conversations that you had the year before. So I would say that was kind of my before to after. I think I tried to do different workshops. They had a strengths workshop. Like I said, they had other guest speakers. It is nice to use the transition product in clinic and outside of clinic, and then be able to talk about it in clinic. So I think it's just nice to, you know, further those conversations as well. What about you?
This was my fourth Transitions Academy. Oh, we have something from Svet over here. She agrees with JD 100%, and it because it was her second academy too. Nice. Are you
Yo
changing the
también.
colors on your board every time? For every question? It's green now, right? It was like different before. Every question's a new color. Okay. Everybody watch the pod on YouTube if you want to see Svet speaking today. Anyway, it was my fourth Transitions Academy. So what's
What of that?
interesting compared to my first, sorry, I'm flexing a little bit. No. Compared to my first, when I first went, I didn't know anybody. Social media was not very utilized at the time like it is now, where I feel like a lot of the people that we see sometimes at these conferences were like, oh, I sort of know you because we follow each other on like these platforms, right, and getting to them in that way. So I had no idea who a lot of the people were. And I kind of got like babied by like Dr. Lyerly and like Lena and Dr. Glover at the time. And then they like introduced me to their like connections and their group of friends. And then I ended up just like becoming really good friends with these people and just following their lives throughout the years. Whereas now, being like senior, I guess, I was a little freshman then, I'm a senior now, I could like take the people in their first conference to like under my wing, and then I got to be like, let's do this, here's how it works, this is where we usually hang out, this is where we usually meet. So I enjoyed that part of it. I think I agree with you, like when you first get there was a lot of like, oh, I didn't know that much about transitions. I was my first year of optometry school, I didn't know about lenses and like Hydrophobic? Guys, what? Help me.
Stimonimin.
Photochromic.
Photochromic lenses. My brain.
Photochromic. Yeah.
Photochromic lenses.
Frosty.
And then the cool thing about when I started was like there was a lot of like more new products coming out from them at the time. Like they didn't used to have colors. And actually my first year starting with them, they introduced colors. So it was like, oh my God, it was like crazy. And then the second time I went, they did like the mirrors and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So it's nice to see how they've like grown throughout the years. I think going your first time, you're learning about the products a little more and things like that. Now that it's like my fourth year, I'm like, oh, let me teach you guys how it is and all that stuff. So, and then Doug, what number was this for you? 2. We lost him. Doug?
I'm back.
Okay, welcome back to the pod.
Go ahead.
What number transitions was this for you?
This was number 2 as well for me. And so comparing, it sucks because you do such comparison. I think naturally you just want to compare, like, oh, what was this better than last year? Was it worse than last year? I think it was different. Obviously, the first time you're like bright-eyed and blue-eyed, like everything is like, wow, this is amazing. And I think the second time, there was definitely a lot of cool stuff, but I think because it was so cool the first time, it wasn't as cool the second time. But not to say it wasn't amazing. Everyone should at least go one time if they can. Even being a change agent after graduating, if you can, I definitely would. Because again, it's about those relationships you build, seeing the people the first time or people you never met and still just adding to your network and adding to people that that optometry is such a small industry and such a small thing. Like you run into everyone somewhere. So it's cool to be able to meet the people and build those relationships.
Yeah, I think it's a different experience every time depending on the people that are there, right? We kind of do the same things, but we have a different group every time. So the group of people that you're with sets kind of like the tone of like what the whole conference is about, really. And a lot of the same people go, but then we have a lot of new people. And like, even though the same people go, like Harbier went last year, but I didn't really get to connect with him as much as I did this year. Things like that. Like you get to like JD kind of said, like start to like blossom these relationships and like continue the conversation, right?
And our experiences
Nice.
are all unique too. I think Savet wants to add something. Go ahead. SV's advice for OD students: apply to be Transitions Academy student ambassadors. It's totally worth it. Great advice.
Big time.
It's a good experience, as she's kind of recommended, as we were kind of talking about. One thing to add here, just in case anybody from Transitions is listening, Doug was a transition, was part of it last year, and this year, as part of our podcast, we wanted him to be there, but he never, technically encroached on anything that he wasn't invited to. He was definitely just part of the conversations and stayed with one of us, and we just want to put that out there. We had such good experiences. We wanted him to be part of the outside experiences of transitions while being there. So just wanted to mention that just in case anybody's listening from the pod. But I've definitely had good experiences. Another thing that stuck out to me was like last year, I definitely feel like, wow, they're making such a huge emphasis on like putting transitions are sexy. Like it's not just like old people who wear it. And I think I had that perception too. And so that's something I feel more confident in based on their marketing scheme of showing how people our age or fashion models, they're all using this. And now they're even using AI to do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
AI was
So
a big theme this year.
Yeah, I tried the new Photoshop, guys, with the AI, the generative fill. It's insane. It's so crazy.
Did you guys all do it? Did you feel like it looked like you?
That one from Transitions? No, mine didn't look like me. Let me show you guys what mine looked like.
Definitely not. I didn't get to do it, but I feel like it didn't look like anybody really, but it was still really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to find mine because it doesn't look like me at all. But it was funny to like see, I guess.
How long did it take to generate?
Like they said like 30 minutes, but we checked like that night. Okay, this one's mine.
I don't know. It kind of looks like you.
It does.
Kind of.
Compared to others, like it looks kind of like you.
Okay, well, that one's mine.
Okay. We pretty much mentioned our peak. But did anyone have any pets to the weekend?
So that said pretty, but who's that? It's me in an alternate universe, Svet. That's my Sims character.
I wish we could have more time to accomplish more, to talk more, to keep doing what we did. So Svet said beautiful.
We're having our own like sign language
Got
conversation.
it.
on the
It wasn't really sign language; it was real language. But
Definitely not sign
Yeah.
language.
Anyway, going off that, I agree. I think that we had some things. I mean, like we discussed this, I think, separately as well. But as a podcast, like that was the whole point of like all coming together, right? We all really wanted to kind of strive forward with this whole thing with us because this is our baby. We're kind of growing it. We're new, but we have a lot of potential, and I think that getting together was important. But everyone was kind of like we were all being pulled in so many directions, and there's a lot going on, and there was a lot going on at different times with different people, and like we would start like I felt really bad because Joshy had like a TikTok that we did, and then we never finished it because then JD, you ended up finishing it, right? Just you two. It was like the one about the ruins. Yeah. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we never got together to finish that. Literally, we were all together and we never finished it. So it's just these things that we like get caught up in, like just 1 second, one person's one place and the next someone's somewhere else. And it's nice because we're busy, but also like the downfall was like we just needed to like stick to a schedule. not a
But it was
schedule.
good. It was a good learning curve for us, and we were able to discuss that and figure out how we can move better and more efficiently next time or any other time we go to any uh, academy or convention that we're all together in.
Yeah, for sure. JD, what was your like pit, I guess?
He said his pit.
He said it? Okay. He kind of started us off, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
We all chimed in.
I mean, I got plenty to say, so I'll talk for SV too. I mean, yeah, obviously time would have been nice, but also I feel like this is like a good like end of chapter for our podcast. We created it last time from being there, and we kind of recapped ourselves where we want to go. And I think we want to take it to the next level. We have a lot to say, a lot of topics we want to hit. And I think we're going to be more organized, structural about how we're going to post and what topics we're going to talk about. So please let us know if any of you are interested in us sharing a topic. I think we talked about whether it be investing, paying off student loans, how to talk to patients, how to talk to your staff, have some great guest speakers on here. So I'm looking forward to taking that next step with us all together and maybe working with some of the sponsors or groups.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing is that we're new. So we're kind of like deciding which direction the podcast is going to go in together and like learning from people at these kinds of conferences and things like that. And kind of what we envision for ourselves. Maybe in the beginning is changing a little bit of like where we thought the podcast was going to go. Because basically how the podcast was born, right? We all met last year and we all collectively decided we're going to go to Academy, like Optometry's Academy together with the AOA. And so when we went there, right, we were all at brunch and we just said, let's start a podcast. And so that's how the podcast was born, right? We just, over some mimosas and eggs, we were like, let's start the podcast. And so now we're kind of like, how long has it been since then? Like 6 months in since then. So
Wow, time flies.
Pretty much. Transitions Academy is like our 1-year anniversary, guys.
yeah, happy anniversary, guys.
Oh my
Happy
God.
anniversary.
Oh my gosh, what'd you get me?
Another podcast.
Oh,
Mimosas.
this is awkward. A heart from Svet. Perfect. Thanks. Love you. Well, we did manage to make one TikTok.
Over a span of 3 days,
Yeah,
you made one
this
TikTok.
is my pride and joy.
It's a lot of people noticed.
If you guys haven't checked it out, please watch it on the Depth Perception. It's our Katy Perry one.
Honestly, the way it ended with like everyone doing it in the thing, that was really cool.
Yeah, so
It's
best TikTok ever. said Sven.
Ever.
Yeah. So it was very hard to get everyone together. At one point it was 2 a.m. and we were in bathrobes and I was literally asleep and everyone was like, let's do another one. And I was like, please leave my room. I need to get some rest. But we made it happen in the end, so that's good.
Story of our podcast.
Yeah, basically. It's fine. I think we learned a lot about like because we had all these ideas about how we were going to do the podcast when we got there, and then obviously it was maybe unrealistic a little bit of us to kind of think like we were going to all sit down somewhere and do the pod together with like things, and I think that's going to kind of like shift a little bit from what we've kind of like seen and learned from other creators, so we'll kind of see how it goes.
So with that, it's all wrap. Transitions Academy, again, success.
Yeah,
Hope for
see you guys
more.
next year, right? Transitions, if you're listening.
Yeah, invite
See you
me
next-
officially this next year, guys. Please, thank you. I love y'all.
Bye.
All right, y'all.